This first clip brings us into a quiet, black and white interior where a domestic scene quickly takes a turn for the strange. Posted by TikTok user The Bonehead, the footage captures a moment of feline intuition that has left many viewers questioning what exactly was lurking in the corners of this room. At first glance, everything seems ordinary. However, animals often perceive things that remain invisible to the human eye, acting as the first line of defense against the unexplained. The anomaly occurs near the large plant, where a distinct shadow seems to manifest, and then it prepares to pounce on a space that should be empty. Paranormal enthusiasts suggest this is a classic shadow entity caught briefly as it moved through the physical plane. Skeptics, however, propose a more grounded explanation, suggesting that an insect or a small object flying close to a light source off-camera could have cast a localized shadow that deceived both the camera and the pet. Others argue that the high contrast of the black and white filter might be amplifying a simple compression artifact or a natural shift in lighting from a window. Was it just a trick of the light, or did this pet encounter something from the beyond? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Next, we move to a location filled with history and potentially lingering spirits, an auction house. This CCTV footage from RWB Auctions was captured in a room filled with antiques and secondhand items, objects that many believe can hold on to the energy of their previous owners. In the dead of night, when the building should have been silent and still, the security system recorded a series of movements that defy simple explanation. Watch closely as the environment itself begins to react to an unseen presence moving through the cluttered aisles. The first event shows a heavy chair rotating slightly as if someone had just sat down. While the move is subtle, the weight of the furniture makes it unlikely to be caused by a draft, but stay focused on the center of the room as the activity is only just beginning. Just seconds later, an antique pram begins to roll forward on its own. The motion is smooth and deliberate, moving against the likely grain of the floorboards. However, something even more humanoid is about to appear in the doorway. In the background doorway, a dark, transparent figure briefly passes through the frame. It possesses a height and gait that suggest a human form, yet it lacks any solid features. But the house has one more sign to show us on the shelves. Finally, we see an object on the shelf clearly shift positions. This sequence of events presents a compelling case for a poltergeist or residual haunting. Believers point to the consistency of the movements across different objects as proof of an intelligent entity. Skeptics, conversely, suggest that vibrations from heavy traffic outside, or even a slight incline in the floor could cause wheeled or unstable objects to move. They also argue that the shadow figure could be a simple camera artifact, like a bug on the lens or a reflection of light from a passing car. However, the sheer variety of the anomalies, from rotating chairs to moving prams, makes a single skeptical explanation difficult to maintain. When objects with such diverse weights and balances all react within minutes, the coincidence becomes harder to swallow. Is this auction house truly haunted by its inventory? Or is there a mechanical explanation we're missing? I'd love to hear your theories down in the comment section below. This video, originally posted to YouTube by user nSuzy3, captures a terrifying encounter inside a private residence. The person filming seems to be documenting strange occurrences in their home, moving from room to room with a sense of growing dread. The house appears normal, yet the atmosphere is thick with tension. As the camera enters the bedroom, we are shown a space that should be a sanctuary, but instead becomes the stage for a violent and inexplicable display of kinetic energy. Pay close attention to the furniture, as it seems to react to the presence of the camera itself. The climax of the footage occurs when the wardrobe doors suddenly fly open and then slam shut with significant force. This isn't a slow creak, it's a deliberate, aggressive movement. Those who believe in the paranormal see this as a clear sign of a malevolent spirit or a high-energy poltergeist. From a skeptical perspective, the camera work is somewhat erratic, leading some to suggest that a person could be hidden inside or behind the wardrobe, using a string or a manual push to activate the doors. Critics also note that the low video quality makes it easier to hide thin fishing lines that could be used to pull the doors from a distance. However, the timing and the sheer speed of the slamming doors make a manual prank difficult to coordinate without being seen. The reaction of the person filming a quick, panicked retreat feels genuine to many viewers. Was this a staged hoax for internet fame? Or did this person truly stumble upon something angry in their own bedroom? The debate continues to rage in the comments, and I want to know where you stand on this one. We've just seen a terrifying trifecta of anomalies, from shadow figures in living rooms to aggressive furniture in bedrooms. The evidence tonight is truly chilling. If you're finding these cases as fascinating as I am, make sure to subscribe to Pale Playback and hit that notification bell. We dive into the world's most unsettling footage every single week. Stay tuned, because our next clip involves a personal device that seems to have a mind of its own. Our next entry features a modern horror staple, the haunted smartphone. In this short but startling clip, a phone is left resting on a wooden table. There are no obvious external forces at play, no loud music, no vibrating notifications, and no one near the table. Yet, the device begins to move in a way that suggests it's being pulled by something unseen. This kind of localized kinetic activity is often reported in homes experiencing the early stages of a haunting, where small, everyday objects become the focus of a spirit's energy. The phone clearly slides several inches across the surface without any visible reason. Skeptics are quick to point out that many modern phones have glass backs that can become incredibly slippery on certain surfaces, especially if there's a slight invisible incline. They also suggest that a simple hidden magnet under the table or a thin thread could easily replicate this effect for the camera. Furthermore, some argue that the vibration motor could have been activated by a silent call or app, providing just enough momentum to move the phone on a polished surface. However, the movement seen here is a steady, linear slide, which doesn't quite match the stuttering path usually created by a vibrating phone. Believers maintain that this is a classic example of telekinetic or poltergeist activity, where an entity manipulates electronic devices to get our attention. It's a small movement, but the implications are massive. Do you think this is a clever physics trick? Or is there something truly reaching out through the technology? Let me know your best theories in the comments below. This piece of evidence was captured by TikTok user Annalisa Hale, who was reviewing her doorbell camera footage after a quiet night. The setting is a standard suburban driveway, illuminated by a solitary street lamp that casts long, stark shadows across the pavement. Everything appears routine until a faint, disembodied sound breaks the silence of the late market hours. It is a chilling reminder that these devices often catch more than just delivery drivers or neighborhood pets wandering through the frame.
Camera recording.
The audio clearly picks up a whispered name, Eric, despite no one being visible in the vicinity of the porch. Believers suggest this is a classic EVP, or electronic voice phenomenon, where a spirit attempts to communicate through digital recording equipment. Skeptics, however, propose a more grounded explanation, suggesting the microphone might have captured a neighbor speaking in the distance, or perhaps a radio transmission interference. Others point out that wind gusts against the sensor can sometimes create phonetic-like artifacts that our brains interpret as speech. Regardless of the source, the clarity of the vocalization is undeniably eerie. What do you make of this phantom greeting? Was it a genuine message from the other side, or just a trick of the acoustics? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Coming from the account Amarasamex 2.0, this next video plunges us into a home that seems to be under a violent spiritual siege. At 4:22 a.m., the resident is awakened by a cacophony of banging sounds echoing through the hallways. The atmosphere is heavy with dread as he navigates the dark rooms, armed only with a flashlight and a camera. We are about to witness a series of escalations that suggest whatever is in the house is not just present, but actively trying to manifest its strength through physical manipulation.
Padre Santo.
The rhythmic pounding on the walls sounds too heavy to be plumbing issues or settling wood. Notice the intensity increases as he approaches the kitchen. Watch the doors in the next sequence as the energy shifts from sound to movement. A door swings open with significant force, suggesting a physical push rather than a simple draft. Keep your focus on the living room furniture as the activity reaches its peak.
Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad así en la tierra como en el cielo.
The rocking chair moves with a deliberate, haunting cadence, seemingly reacting to the prayers being recited. Paranormal enthusiasts point to this as clear evidence of a poltergeist, citing the multi-room activity and the physical strength required to move heavy objects. Skeptics, on the other hand, suggest the use of hidden fishing lines or thin wires, particularly since the camera moves away from the objects before the activity begins. They also note that the banging could be a pre-recorded track played over the house speakers. However, the raw terror in the man's voice is difficult to fake. Does this footage prove a haunting, or is it a masterclass in homegrown horror effects? Drop a comment with your take on this chaotic night. We've just analyzed 3 distinct types of hauntings: a phantom phone movement, a whispered greeting in the driveway, and a violent poltergeist in a Mexican household. The night is far from over, and the evidence only gets more compelling from here. If you're finding these cases as fascinating as I am, make sure to subscribe to Pale Playback and hit that notification bell. We dive deep into the world's most unsettling footage every single week. Stay tuned, because our next clip involves an entity in a very tight space. TikTok creator author Kyle Anthony brings us this bone-chilling footage from inside his own garage. Kyle has been documenting strange occurrences in his home for some time, but this specific encounter is what he considers his most terrifying. The video focuses on a narrow crawl space beneath the structure, a place where no one should be. Kyle's narration provides a sense of urgency and genuine fear as he attempts to show the viewers exactly why he is so disturbed by the darkness lurking under his floorboards.
If you didn't see that freaky thing in the crawl space, I'm going to slow the video down for you. Now I'm going to play it at normal speed, just looped over and over and over. whatever that is, it can't be human because no human can move that fast. I don't know if that's the same thing that I saw in the crawl space the last time that I caught on that security camera when I had that camera down there. I don't know, but it scared the hell out of me. I get a lot of people asking like, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened in my house? That's got to be up there. But I'm thinking about making a top 5 video and posting that soon. And for the people that have been asking, it's been quiet lately. That's why I haven't been posting. Nothing's been happening. Thankfully, been having a break from all this. So, yep. Hope y'all have a Merry Christmas.
The figure seen darting across the crawl space moves at a speed that seems physiologically impossible for a human in such a confined area. Some investigators suggest this could be a crawler or a similar cryptid, characterized by pale skin and unnatural agility. Others argue it might be a shadow person caught in a state of high-energy manifestation. Skeptics propose a more technical explanation, suggesting the entity is a digital edition or a person in a morph suit, with the speed achieved through video editing. However, the way the light from the flashlight interacts with the environment makes simple CGI difficult to pull off perfectly. Kyle's long-term documentation of these events adds a layer of credibility for his followers. Was that a glimpse of something not of this world, or a very clever manipulation of perspective? I want to hear your theories on this fast-moving intruder down in the comments. Next comes from TikTok's Dark Side of Kyle, featuring a series of explorations into abandoned and seemingly haunted locations. In this segment, the uploader enters a derelict house where the very architecture seems to be reacting to his presence. The peeling wallpaper and cluttered rooms create a perfect backdrop for the supernatural. As Kyle moves through the structure, he encounters a door that exhibits behavior that defies simple logical explanation, leading to a climax involving tools moving on their own in a nearby shed. The violent shaking of the doorknob and the wood itself suggests a frantic attempt by something to either get in or get out. Notice the lack of visible wind or mechanical vibrations elsewhere in the room. Now, let's look at the shed sequence where the activity follows him outside.
This needs to stop. I need help, please. Going to explore it later.
The shovel falls with a metallic clang just as Kyle enters the shed, which many believe is a classic sign of a persistent spirit following the investigator. Skeptical analysts point out that the door shaking could be achieved by an accomplice on the other side, and the shovel could have been precariously balanced to fall with the slight vibration of footsteps. However, the consistency of the ghost doll in the window and the overall atmosphere suggest a high level of coordination if this is indeed a hoax. Some believe abandoned places like this serve as hubs for residual energy that leaches onto anyone who enters. Whether this is a case of genuine haunting or a well-crafted urban exploration narrative, the impact is undeniable. What do you think about the activity following him from the house to the shed? Does that change your perspective on the evidence? Share your theories below. This chilling footage originates from a TikTok account that often explores the boundaries of the unknown. We find ourselves in a dimly lit kitchen where a group of friends has gathered around a Ouija board, hoping to make contact with something from the other side. The atmosphere is thick with a mixture of nervous laughter and genuine apprehension as they begin their session. They are following the traditional rules, placing their fingers lightly on the planchette, but as the minutes tick by, the energy in the room begins to shift in a way none of them expected. The flickering light and the hushed whispers set a perfect stage for what is about to manifest from the shadows of the background.
No, ain't nobody touching it. That's phony. If there's a ghost in here, he gonna move that by.
I know you think it's holding, it's fine.
Don't try to steal me with the TV. Nobody's cold. The AC is on in the house. Don't even try. Ready? Everybody ready? Is there anyone else in here besides us? Can you hear me?
Hold on, give it a minute.
How long we gotta wait?
The sheer terror in their voices is hard to fake. At the 33-second mark, as the camera pans, a distorted, pale face seems to materialize in the darkness behind the group. Some viewers are convinced this is a genuine entity drawn to the energy of the board, noting the way the features seem to stretch unnaturally. However, skeptics are quick to point out the possibility of a practical prank, suggesting a friend in a mask or a clever use of a prop hidden in the shadows. Others suggest it could be a simple case of pareidolia, where the brain interprets random patterns of light and shadow as a face, especially in such a high-stress environment. The timing, right at the peak of their tension, feels almost too perfect for a viral scare. Regardless of its origin, the reaction of the participants feels visceral and unscripted. This footage serves as a stark reminder of why many people refuse to touch these boards. Was it a calculated trick by someone off camera? Or did they truly invite something unwanted into that kitchen? I want to hear your thoughts. Those were 3 chilling encounters: an unnervingly fast entity in a crawl space, a persistent haunting in an abandoned structure, and a face in the shadows of a kitchen. If you're enjoying these investigations on Pale Playback, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. We release new evidence every single week. Now, steel yourselves, because the final segment of tonight's investigation might be the most disturbing yet. In this next piece of evidence, we follow an investigator from the Paracurious channel into a silent, book-filled library during the dead of night. They are utilizing a spirit box, a device that rapidly scans radio frequencies, which some believe allows entities to manipulate the white noise into coherent speech. The goal is to communicate with a spirit known as April, who is said to reside among these shelves. The researcher moves slowly, respecting the silence of the room, while the static of the box creates a jarring contrast to the surroundings. Libraries are often thought to hold the residual energy of the stories within them, and tonight, it seems one specific book wants to be recognized.
Do you want me to read one of these books to you, April? Over here?
Yes.
Which one? What's the name of the book?
Glorious.
Glorious.
The box clearly enunciates the word glorious in response to a question about a book title. This isn't just a random syllable, it's a specific multisyllabic word that stands out from the static. But as the investigator searches the shelves, the box provides even more specific directions that will lead to a startling discovery.
Glorious.
Glorious. I'm gonna try and find that. You want me to turn this
Back.
back? If it's over here, I will shit myself.
Book.
Can you tell me where the Glorious book is?
Down.
Down?
Book.
Is it on this row here?
No.
Is it on this row?
Yeah.
Can you tell me the name of the book again? Holy... No way. No. Okay, April, I got the book you've been talking about, the exact book, A Glorious Accident. Do you want me to read this to you?
2. Me.
Okay. Did your parents used to read you this book?
Book. Read.
Your mom used to read you this?
Yes. Memory.
What makes this interaction so compelling is the direct correlation between the spirit box's responses and the physical environment. The box said glorious, and moments later, the investigator finds a book titled A Glorious Accident exactly where the box directed him. Paranormal enthusiasts argue that the odds of a random radio scan producing the exact title of a book in the room are astronomical. Skeptics, however, point toward the possibility of the audio being edited in post-production to match the book, or a hot spirit box where specific words are programmed or pre-recorded. Another theory is that the investigator already knew the book was there and subconsciously or consciously waited for a sound that could be interpreted as the title. But the reaction from the person behind the camera seems to be one of genuine shock. The way the voice on the box matches the theme of the library so perfectly is certainly unsettling. If this is real, it suggests a level of environmental awareness from the entity that is rare in Ghostbox sessions. What do you make of this library encounter? Let me know in the comments. This final, extended piece of footage comes from a security guard working the night shift at what appears to be a school or an institutional building. He has documented numerous strange occurrences during his rounds, but tonight the activity has reached a fever pitch. The building is largely empty, yet he is constantly followed by movement and sounds that shouldn't be there. He moves through the long, echoing corridors with a flashlight, capturing various manifestations that range from shadow figures to physical objects moving on their own. The guard seems accustomed to the activity but remains cautious, speaking directly to the camera as he explores different rooms. This location seems to be a hotspot for residual or possibly intelligent energy. We see glimpses of a playground, empty classrooms, and dark hallways that feel heavy with a history we can only guess at.
Mira, ahí pasó. Díganme que lo vieron.
At just 3 seconds in, a distinct dark mass moves across the window in the background. It's too fast and too dark to be a simple trick of the light, but as the guard continues his patrol, the activity becomes much more physically aggressive, involving the structural elements of the building itself.
Mira, ahí pasó. Díganme que lo vieron. Se lo vio clarito. Mira, ahí pasó. Mira. Se lo vio clarito. Y pasó por el medio del patio. ¿Qué les dije? Mira. Negrito para acá fue. Para ahí. ¿Ven? Pasó por ahí, agachadito, corriendo por aquí. Ah. Se desenfocó, ¿eh? Está al frente de ustedes, gente. Van a venir niños y no tienen que seguir aquí. Me atravesó otra vez. Ay, Dios mío, me dejó encerrado. Ahora sí me dejó encerrado.
The door slamming shut at 0220 is a significant escalation. There's no visible draft or person nearby. However, the most disturbing part of the night happens when the guard finds himself confronted by a door that refuses to stay quiet, even when he tries to investigate.
Mío, me dejó encerrado. Ahora sí me dejó encerrado. ¿Ahora lo hace con esta también? Es un colegio. Sí, mira, 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 mira. Mira, no. ¿Ves? Él la cerró. Es más, hace rato, pero sí estoy en Santiago, hace rato se vio literalmente un duende cruzar, o sea, la figura de un niño cruzando por detrás mío. Uy, escuchen, escuchen. Está golpeando. Ahí la abrió. Ok. Ven, vine para acá. Te dejó de golpear. Linda la noche en la escuela, ¿eh? Ahí está golpeando la puerta. No tiene luz, pero tiene que pasar un proceso para poder trascender. ¿A dónde, Mautrix, Gamin, dónde dice que se verían cosas locas? En el hospital me trabajo toda la noche. Estuve el sábado en un hospital abandonado. Y también logré captar una entidad bastante oscura. Esta puerta la vi.
The repeated banging on the door at 0438 is incredibly startling. It sounds like someone is on the other side trying to get out or get in with great force. Paranormal researchers might suggest this is a case of an entity trying to manifest or influence the physical world. Skeptics, as always, look for more grounded explanations, such as a hidden accomplice pulling the doors with wires or simply kicking them from the other side. They also point out that in large, empty buildings, acoustics can be very deceptive. A sound from the floor below could sound like it's coming from right in front of you. Another theory is that the guard is staging these events for views, using his access to the building to create a convincing narrative. But the sheer volume and variety of the activity recorded throughout his shift make it a very complex hoax to pull off alone. The way the doors move and the sounds resonate through the halls feels authentic to the space. Whether these are the spirits of former students or something else entirely, the building certainly feels alive. What is your take on this security guard's long night? Share your theories in the comments. That brings our investigation to a close for tonight. We've journeyed through kitchens, libraries, bedrooms, and abandoned halls, each offering its own disturbing glimpse into what might exist just beyond our understanding. Whether these videos are clever orchestrations of light and sound or genuine documentation of the unexplained, they remind us that the world is much stranger than it often appears. Each piece of evidence we've reviewed tonight provides a unique challenge to our perception of reality. From the cat's reaction in the living room to the aggressive banging in that school, these moments leave us with lingering questions. We invite you to be the final judge. Was there a common thread between these encounters? Or are they all isolated incidents of trickery? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the unknown with Pale Playback. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more forensic looks at the supernatural. We'll be back next week with even more evidence to analyze. Until then, keep your eyes open and your mind ready for the unexpected. Good night, and don't forget to tell us what you think in the comments below.